Welcome everybody to another wonderful edition. I don't know what we should track this for how many we've done, so we could say episode whatever.
Oh yeah,
But it is another episode of Eagle Homes podcast. We are powered by Coldwell Banker, of course, and my name is Brad Brewer, and I'm accompanied by, of course, as always, Mr. Vince Duvall.
thanks, Brad. Excited to be here as always. Today we've got a great topic that comes up time and time again, especially this time of year: buying versus renting. People make that New Year's resolution. They're like, you know what? I'm tired of renting. I want to buy a house. So it's something that every potential homeowner has to consider at some point in time. And today we're diving into the pros and cons of buying versus renting. Now, keep in mind, this is our opinion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone's got their own thoughts.
That's absolutely right. You're certainly entitled to your opinion. It's probably wrong. Just kidding. That's right, though. We are thinking about making that. If you're thinking about making that big leap into homeownership, weighing the flexibilities and the different stresses or whatever versus renting versus buying, this episode we're definitely going to break that down for you and help you hopefully make a more informed decision. Of course, I know it probably says it somewhere else in here as far as what we're gonna tell you. Call your agent, call us please, or one of our team members.
Yeah.
And an agent, that's one of, I think, our first duties with any of our clients is to, of course, help consult, advise, and just ask questions. Identify what's important to you.
Yeah. So, all right, let's start with buying right at top. There are a lot of great reasons to purchase your own home. Now, first off, one of the biggest perks is building equity, right? Every payment you make on your mortgage builds equity on your property. And unlike renting, where your monthly payment just goes to someone else, you know, it's it just kind of goes away.
Absolutely. You hear the old saying, it's if you're paying rent, you're paying 100% interest. There's no equity being built there. So at least, you know, whether historically real estate values do rise over time, but if you happen to buy and then sell or need to sell in an up or in a down market situation, at least you've paid down and you've earned some of that equity back that you can put towards it. Is it a loss? Technically, yes, depending on the situation, sure, but it's still a wise investment down the line, regardless of what the market's doing, typically.
Yeah. Typically, you're still gonna, you know, you have some closing costs, things like that. We'll get into that later, probably. But more importantly, you know, you're building that equity for yourself. Next, another key benefit is personalization.
Yeah.
When you own your own home, you're free to make any changes you want, and kind of put things where you want, paint things, update the kitchen, flooring, you know, whatever it might be. When you have a landlord, you have all kinds of rules, right? So you can personalize your home however the heck you'd like to do that,
including animals. You know, I mean, doesn't have to be just your decor. Yeah, typically if you're renting though, if I want my room to be black, painted black, a lot of landlords do not want that. I wouldn't want that if I was a landlord. I wouldn't want that personally, but hey, to each their own. So plus there is that stability factor. You know, with a fixed rate mortgage, you are going to have that predictable monthly payment and you're not subject to rent increases every year, things like that. Because rent has basically only gone up over time. I don't know when it's ever, if we look at charts over time, when it's ever really gone down. Maybe a little dip here and there, but typically it's something that goes up, which just increases that financial gamble.
Right.
And I know some people are going to argue back on this that say, well, with the home, you do have your unexpected, you know, the furnace goes out, you weren't expecting. But there are home warranties and things like that to help eliminate that unpredictability. And you can also, again, with a home warranty, your homeowner's insurance, those various things,
you can reduce your risk.
And they're predictable because they're fixed rates, unless you might get you get annual increases potentially in those. But typically those are fairly fixed, expenses that you can kind of calculate.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brad. Now let's not forget the tax benefit that comes with home ownership, like deducting mortgage interest, property taxes. All those things are an added bonus if you are, you know, deducting that stuff from your taxes. You know, if you're itemizing and you're deducting from your taxes, it reduces your, you know, your taxable income. So And for those that have, personal businesses, things like that, talk to your tax advisor, because there are, a million and one ways that you can, use your home, not only for your personal use, but your business too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, as we're both self-employed, business owners as real estate agents, I have a home office space. That space and what you pay on utilities and your taxes and all that kind of stuff. That is also a deductible business expense.
Right.
Those are just a couple examples as Ben's mentioned. So your home has a lot of different deductible features that help you with income tax time. Excuse me, I can't get the word out.
Yep, it's that time of year.
All right. Okay. So we got the positives of buying a home. We didn't cover them all, but I'm sure we might think of a few more here throughout our episode. But there are cons, of course, to buying and owning a home.
Oh yeah.
So before we get too excited, first off, there are upfront costs. When you're buying a home, it does require a significant amount of cash up front. There's of course VA loans, USDA loans that are zero down as far as down payment, but you still have the cost of your loan processing fees. There are prorates and different things that we can get into that are upfront costs, your home inspections and things like that. So
yeah,
it is a bigger financial commitment, especially upfront.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend, because a lot of people don't, they think, oh, I could buy a house with 0% down, I don't need any cash. Well, there are some things that even if you're putting no money down, you need some cash for. You need to be able to put down earnest money. You need to be able to pay for a home inspection, depending on if you're paying for well and septic or if the sellers are paying for it. So there are some things that you will need cash for, or a means of paying for it, and they will tell you, don't go open up new lines of credit, because that's just going to hurt your debt to income ratio and put you at risk of not being able to get that mortgage. So yeah.
Absolutely. There is that lack of flexibility. You put up that upfront money, you're into home ownership. Let's say life throws you some type of curveball, job change, job relocation, some type of other windfall, or not windfall, negative impact on your life that hits you, especially in some type of financial way. Selling can take time.
Yeah.
Certainly you can definitely sell your home super quick, pretty much any market, but are you taking a hit financially there? Because, well, to sell it quicker, we've got to dump the price a little bit. So there are some lack of flexibility there. Whereas renting, typically, especially most landlords, apartment complexes, I think they're, especially some severe life thing happens to you.
Yeah.
I think they're typically more flexible to let you out of that lease. So because it's best for you.
Yep. Yeah. There's definitely market risks there. While homes particularly increase, there's no guarantee that we're going to be able to get them, that top dollar, because it's, location, price, condition. If you destroyed your house, if your house flooded, but all of a sudden you got a major roof leak, you're kind of, you're at the mercy of the buyer in that situation a little bit.
Absolutely. So there's definitely some pros, I guess, to renting.
Yeah. Yep.
Or excuse me, cons to buying a home.
Yeah.
So we've got the pros and cons of owning a home. Now, what are the pros to renting? So just kind of switching up gears a little bit. Renting is a great option for a lot of people. We talked about the flexibility. The biggest pro is it's probably a lower commitment level.
So what you're saying, Brad, is if someone has commitment issues, if you can't keep a, job or girlfriend,
boyfriend,
whatever, spouse, significant other,
whatever,
you may can't make payments on time. You have commitment levels. Maybe renting could be a good option for you. That stereotyping that, by the way.
Yeah, and
came out really bad.
And I definitely just your current life situation or your foreseeable life situation.
Yeah.
Let's use the work one, for example. I've had plenty of conversations with people that they may be relocated. There's some sniffs of, their company downsizing over the next few years. There's definitely temporary situations where renting does make more sense. And listening to some of my clients, sometimes I've said, you've got some stuff coming up here that's real big, maybe. I don't know that you want to get tied down into a house right now. I think it probably should rent for a little while. I know that's, from the financial standpoint, we've talked about the 100% interest and all that, but renting sometimes does make sense.
Yeah. And renting can also offer that lower upfront cost, right? Compared to buying, maybe if you're renting a place for $1,000 a month, maybe you just have $1,000 security deposit. You don't have inspections. You just typically have to put down that security deposit, and then your rent payments are set. There's no surprise in maintenance bills either. And sometimes rent also includes things like your utilities. So electric, water, gas. Sometimes internet's included, cable, depending on where you're at. You kind of have a fixed cost, and you can figure out how to budget for that then.
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely, especially the maintenance thing. We talked about that and we talked about there's ways to overcome that, home ownership, stuff like that on the home ownership side, but the property maintenance, even the little things like toilet breaks, call the landlord. Not your problem.
Right.
Whereas, obviously if you're homeowner, well, it's your problem. Especially 2 a.m.
That's so true. And renting also allows you to live in neighborhoods you might not be able to afford to buy in also. Whether it's a trendy downtown area or exclusive neighborhood, renting can give you access to great locations without the long-term financial commitment of homeownership. So, it's a great way to get, at least get into a neighborhood and, check out neighborhoods if you're relocating.
And of course, if you live in New York City, I can't afford to do either. That's some show. And wow. An apartment, this room's what? Probably 12 by maybe 13. There's apartments that cost more than my mortgage.
That's so true. And between there and California, it's nuts. I have a friend that has a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in California, and it's almost $2,500.
Exactly.
And it's like 800 square feet.
All right. And so, of course, we've gone through the pros, cons of owning, pros of renting. There's the cons. Probably, I would say one of your major cons is, of course, we kind of referenced it earlier on, is you're not building equity. Every rent check is basically, if you, instead of paying down equity, it's like basically paying 100% interest. You're not gaining anything from it, other than obviously it's a place to live.
And that's true too, because we ask people all the time, if you're renting a place, how much interest are you paying? And most of the time they go, oh, I'm not paying any interest. And we're like, well, let's break this down. Let's think about this. You're actually paying 100% interest because you're getting no equity. Right. So, for those that are like, oh, I want to, 7% is really high. When you're renting, 7% really isn't that high because you're still paying 100%. You gain no equity by renting. Sorry. Go ahead.
That could be a big sticker shock item. So that's huge, because if you're paying, probably a 2,200 square foot home, you could be paying around 25, depending on where it's at. Let's say you're paying $3,000 a month in rent. It's $36,000 a year. Think about that. That is huge. And on a mortgage, you at least of that 36,000, some of that would have gone down to pay down that total balance. So when you really start to look at the numbers, it's like, I just paid $36,000. Yes, I had a roof over my head, but what did I get out of that? As far as to build my future, let's face it, we all want to retire someday, right? So real estate is a way to build future wealth. So ultimately, it's a lot of people. I don't know the number, but probably everyone to some point when you retire. I've got a couple right now. They are retiring now. They're going to go rent from now on. They may buy again, but for right now they're going to go rent, and they're walking away. They're going to put about $250,000 additionally into their retirement. So it is a retirement funding. It is also, if you own your home your entire life, you pass away, it's also willing down to your kids or grandkids or whoever. So it's definitely. It's wealth that can be passed on to different generations.
Generational wealth is what I call it. Yeah, and there's we talked about it in the buying of a home, but in the renting of a property, you have the lack of control. You can't make changes to the property. You can't, typically paint walls, remodel kitchens, change flooring. You're subject to the landlord's rules and regulations, and potentially that rent increase every year. Yeah, we talk about taxes typically go up. Property taxes typically go up every year. I was lucky enough that ours did not this year, but so even as a homeowner, if your property taxes go up, it's similar to like if your rent goes up. The difference is your property taxes might go up a couple $100 for the year, where your rent might go up a couple $100 for the month. Maybe not a couple $100, but
it's usually monthly increase.
Yeah,
so you're right.
Yeah, you go up $100 a month.
Yeah.
So you don't have control over that.
So to kind of tie off that note on the whole pros and cons, like I said, and for every positive that we talk today, there is potentially that negative.
Yeah.
It really boils down to, and like I said earlier in the episode here, this is when you want to lean on your professionals. You're going to buy a home. Agent, lender. No specific order, by the way, there. Maybe talk to a lender first, understand what you financially qualify for. Not a bad idea anyway, because usually in our conversation, we're like, well, what do you think you can afford? What do you think you're going to be able to do? Then if you're a cash buyer, it's a different conversation. Yeah, obviously it comes straight to us. But we talk about all these things. We will ask you the right questions about, kind of almost like a job interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
Well, and if you've got things coming up in your life that in 5 years could cause some need to not be where you're currently going to maybe buy at, we would probably advise you, hey, why don't we rent for a year or two until that gets kind of more solidified as far as where you're going to be.
And right? I would say if you don't have an agent that like and trust, go to a lender. Shop lenders, okay.
Yeah.
I know you're going to see, like, you click online, get Rocket Mortgage jump out at you as the lowest interest rate, but it might cost you more money up front. They might have higher closing costs, maybe not, great programs. Talk to your local credit unions, talk to your local lenders right here in Burlington. We have quite a few of them. So talk to them, because you want to fully understand your buying power and what your mortgage is going to be. Because let me tell you, if you go, oh, I want to buy a $300,000 house, and they go, well, that mortgage payment's $3,000, you may be like, oh, crap, that is a lot more than I expected, right? The other thing too, taking consideration, we can dive into this on another episode, like the cost of homeownership, the cost, how to budget, things like that. But taking in consideration your taxes, because that's, that's if you're in Burlington, you find a small property and the taxes are $2,400, but then you go just up the road to Rochester or Waterford and your taxes are $3,600 or $6,000. It's a big difference in your mortgage payment.
You can actually, you can afford more technically if the property taxes are lower.
Correct.
Because obviously taxes are being divided over 12 months, where your mortgages with interest is being calculated over, there's 15-year, 20-year, but most people do a 30-year mortgage is probably the norm. But those are some different things for buying and selling. Got a little time left, Vince.
Where are you jumping into?
Should we talk a little bit about our weekend and things with the team?
Yeah,
we had some new stuff going with the team. I don't think we've really talked about it.
All right, jump into it. Let's go.
So obviously we ended 2024 recently. Wanted to celebrate with the team. So this weekend we took the team out for a kind of a end of the year celebration. Definitely recognize some...
Richie and I were beer pong champs, by the way.
Yeah, I heard. So some people went home earlier. So first of all, we had a great dinner. So shout out to Tuscan. In Lake Geneva. That's where we
service was phenomenal.
Service was delicious. Great. Food was great. Beverages were great. And then we took the team over to do some axe throwing, LG axe throwing.
Lake Geneva axe throwing. So if you haven't checked out Lake Geneva axe throwing, it's a great time, great getaway, especially this time of year when there's not a lot to do outside. And you want a fun little date night or I don't know what their age restrictions are for, if you can have your 6-year-old pick up an axe and throw it, might be a little dangerous. They are not the lightest axes. There's probably a age restriction on it, but definitely check them out. They have 6 lanes or 7 lanes.
They I think it was 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 2 that didn't have the separation. For like if you had a bigger party, It was one lane, but then they had two that were separate. So 6 lanes that a bar.
Yeah.
What was the bar? Was it full cocktail?
No, it's
Well, basically beer and wine and
beer, wine,
seltzers,
seltzers,
things
yeah.
like that. So,
Yep.
Great little spot. So definitely was enjoyable. Well, we were able to recognize some of our top performers in different areas this year, as far as units sold, how many appointments, things like that. Recognize some various great achievements from the team. So that was exciting. One of our achievements was, I think we said it, we're broadcasting from our new office here at 565 Milwaukee Avenue. First floor right here at the corner. We're basically staring at Fred's Burgers right now.
We are.
A long time established in Burlington. So kudos to the team. We were really well, I know we were proud, but we were super excited. Team really grew this year, probably quicker than we anticipated, I would say.
Yep.
So I think it was awesome. And then I know we got a Coldwell Banker Team Award.
Yep.
I think that's what.
We'll be Diamond Society this year.
I don't know what that means, by the way.
So what that I will tell you as soon as I figure out how to get to the sheet here.
And then we've got 2 new agents, which we'll be introducing, Holly Baer and Dana Bulliner.
Yep.
Holly's licensed in Illinois, and Dana is dual licensed in Wisconsin and Illinois. So we'll be super excited to get you guys introduced to them as well. In fact, Dana just walked in, but we'll have her on a future episode, or Holly just walked in, and we're gonna have her on a future episode of our podcast, of course.
Yeah. So that's I think all we have for this week. We can wrap up early. Come by, check us out, say hi if you're in the corner. We're gonna be doing some fun things here throughout the year using the office space. So
weather warms up, maybe fire up a grill.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah.
And then otherwise, a few weeks back, we're not too far removed from in December when we hosted our first remote podcast from one of our local small businesses, Buzz Wine Bar. Again, thank you very much for hosting us. But we'd love to get out and introduce the community to various businesses. So if you're interested, you can come in to our space and just talk about your business here, or we'd love to broadcast from your business if you're welcome. It'd be Monday morning at 9 a.m. So reach out to us if you're interested.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week. Thank you.